Welcome back. I'm here once again in the grow room. Welcome everyone. Hopefully you're having a great evening, great day. I wanted to make a video on compassion. What is compassion? Unfortunately, maybe one of the less popular videos. Usually people tend to be drawn more to negative clickbait. But I'm making this one anyways. Those souls who are ready to receive and to give and to be compassionate, those who have a natural outflowing of it, those who are ready will find their way to this video. Or others who have a similar message that they may need to hear. So what is compassion? What is real? What is compassion? I can tell you it's not something that you do. It's not a vow that you take. It's not an act that you play. You don't try to be compassionate. I mean, you can. You can try to be compassionate. Compassion, when it's real, it flows from a connection, a deeper understanding. Compassion is not all good. It's not all bad. Where does the bad fit in compassion, you may think? Compassion is beyond the polarities of positive and negative. Sometimes compassion from the eyes of someone who doesn't understand can seem like a negative act. When someone does something out of compassion, it comes from a state where they really understand where you're coming from. Oftentimes it springs forth by itself when someone can feel what you're feeling so deeply, or can see what you're doing so deeply, that action springs forth. If a person sees that you're trying to open the door and you keep using your head, but you don't realize you need to use your hand. Sometimes when you're shown, the ego might get in the way and it makes it difficult to see it as a compassionate act. But compassion has so many different forms. You see, compassion has an aspect of sadness and love, and the two are expressed in one, as one. If I, for example, let's say I've spent 4 years as a starving, homeless person, and I went through a very difficult time, and I somehow find the means to feed myself on a more regular basis, and that becomes steady. But I'm going to use the word, the scar. The scar remains there. Not that it's unhealed, it's healed. But let's say the scar remains there of that time in my life. When I see someone else going through the same struggles that I went through, and I can remember, oftentimes you might see that person, or if I was starving, for example, I may give a homeless person some food or some money. Not because I'm trying to be a good person, but because I understand, I experientially know, I understand that what this person is going through. In a sense, I almost feel the pain as well when I see this person starving, as an example. Sometimes you'll find yourself just, here's some money. A compassionate act. Now, a way to bring a little more compassion is to find ways in your life how you're similar to other people. And if you really feel in your heart that this is important for you, that compassion, you're compelled to discover, to nurture this seed, to water this seed within you that you feel bubbling, by finding ways that you're similar. For example, one of the most powerful, some may think this is morbid, but one of the most powerful connections you can make with another human being or animal is your mortality. Seeing how we're all here for a temporary short time, and that we're also going to die. You may see that fly on the wall and say, he's probably only going to be here for 2 weeks. He's also going to die. And instead of smacking him, you might open the window and find a way to grab a paper and whoosh him out the window. As an example. There's other ways you can bring compassion and have it grow within you. But the most potent form of compassion is when you don't need to create it, is when it comes as a realization of oneness that you recognize also in the other. Now, I've been talking about compassion in terms of being compassionate to other people, in a sense, having it, what is compassion towards others. That's what I've been talking about so far. But I want to take a second and remind you to also turn that inward, to be compassionate to yourself as well. If you spend your time trying to be compassionate to other people but neglect your own needs, yourself, you're not going to help anyone. You may on the surface help them, but underneath you're kind of like as if you were to pull a plug and allow your energy to just drip, or squeeze something too tight. Imagine taking a sponge and just squeezing it, but not opening your hand to allow it to reabsorb any water, right? You're giving someone some water from that sponge, but there's none left for you. Compassion goes both ways. Sometimes you may feel it right to do the right thing for someone, but you may be hurting yourself in the process. It's tricky. Again, compassion comes from a deep understanding, a deep knowing, and is not something you do. It comes from a real realization of a recognition of pain and love together. If you know that each time you do this, it's hurting you somehow, you can remember this. Not necessarily a good thing. Maybe you're doing something for someone and this person is taking advantage of you, right? And you're trying to be compassionate, loving, and this person is really taking the worst kind of advantage, a real energy vampire. Then it might be time to turn that compassion inward. And you can only do this by realizing sometimes leaving someone that's poisonous in your life is the greatest act of compassion towards yourself. And usually we'll stir on that decision for a long time, but when the decision comes, it springs on you and you feel filled with this energy and you know you can't turn back. So compassion has many forms. Again, you can't make this happen. So to wrap it up, just a quick summarize. True compassion comes from sadness and love together. The realization of both in the moment, and something new is born in that instant through you. Meditate on your death. Meditate on how everyone will die, that everything is going to die. See our oneness in this truth and see where it takes you. Wherever you are around the world, whatever time it is that you're watching this, thank you. I appreciate you. Peace.